It's not just heading. We've been in this system for a while. It's just at this moment in time, even though all over these years they've given us booms and busts, at this moment in time they're squeezing it so tightly. They're imploding economies everywhere, and they're doing it because they're going to devastate these countries. America is, it keeps getting delayed. They keep doing this raising the debt ceiling, which doesn't raise the debt, apparently, according to Obama. Now, I don't understand quite the logic behind that. So,
that's
he
because
must be far more intelligent than I am.
Yeah, but that's because it's a lie. That's
exactly.
Know.
You just can't. You can't get away from this fact right now. This is the most eyes that this entity, this beast, has ever had on it in its entire existence. We can all debate where and when it started and who started it, this, what, and whatever. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that these events have happened. There's many a thing involved apart from Freemasonry. You've got many, many, many other different secret societies that people don't know about. Knights of this and knights of that and all these kind of orders. And you've seen historical documents of these. The Fool Society, where the Nazis and all their occult beliefs and stuff like that. People think occult is about scary stuff, and it's not. It's just about hidden. And it's just like I said to you, if you don't know your bank account, your PIN number, and I've got your card and I know your bank, you have to come to me if you want money. And I control that money, but I'm not actually lending it you. So I'm not actually doing anything apart from going to the bank. And I'm charging you, maybe 40 quid for that, I don't know, and then interest on it. So every time you take, that time to pay the £40 up to 200, I charge you interest on £40, which is what we call it a tenner for argument's sake. So I've made 50 quid on 4 payments of 200 quid that I didn't get for you.
Yeah, but that's acting under the assumption that there's a limit to the growth of the money and the expansion of the money supply. The reality is, unfortunately, there no longer is a limit, or at least not in New Zealand anyway. Unlimited supply is able to be given, right? So you don't even need 1% in reserve of what you're loaning out. You need nothing.
Wow, really? You don't even need $1 to lend 90 out now?
No, you don't even need 1 cent to lend $100 billion.
Jesus, that is. No wonder that they're saying that New Zealand's the biggest money laundering capital of the world at the minute.
Incidentally, it is according to Transparency International, the least corrupt country in the world. Because Transparency International sends out a questionnaire asking the government of your country, so, what corruption has happened in your country this year? And they go, none, and send it back.
You couldn't write it, could you?
You're going to love this country, man.
Let me get this right. A country is being bled dry, raped and pillaged, and the people that you ask are the people who are doing it. Are you doing anything wrong? No.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's why Transparency International calls it the Corruption Perception Index. Because if the people who are perceiving the corruption are the ones who are responsible for the corruption, then it's accurate.
You're right. Oh my God. That's unbelievable. I didn't realise it had got so bad over there.
Oh, mate. Well, the problem is it's that bad everywhere.
See, we've not... Over in England, we haven't quite got to that stage yet. Or should I say, at least it's not encroached down into my life yet. It's not physically starting to affect. The fact is that the system has never changed in England because, like you said before, this is the country that gave birth to this beast. Our central banking system is everywhere, and the fact is this is one of the strongholds. The inner city of London, therefore England, they don't want to have it turn on them too soon. Do you know what I mean? This is a bastion for them. The US now is expendable. The globalists have led that drive. They've paid big companies to ship out to overseas to China, and they've used public taxpayers' money to pay for that, so they can only have to pay 7 cents an hour in wages, or $7 an hour. I'm sure it's 7 cents.
Yeah.
You know, surrounding with suicide nets, forcing these people. That's much better to make money. You know, you're talking about people who would make arsenic a childhood medicine and still sleep like a baby at night. It's a different mentality to what people always put their emotions into if they were in that position. Well, if I knew that was bad for babies, I wouldn't allow it. Well, you wouldn't be in that position where if that opportunity arose, for whatever reason it might be, then you wouldn't be in that position to stop it, because somebody would always be put in that position to make sure it happened. Because there's no other way that they would want this system to work.
Never underestimate the power of good blackmail.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Kill this person, or I'm going to release these photographs of you cheating on your missus, and we're going to release it on the mainstream media that we control. Okay, buddy?
Yeah.
What you going to do?
You're going to toe the line, or you're going to sacrifice yourself. And
you see me?
Fortunately,
I'd fortunately try and sacrifice myself at every available opportunity. In fact, I said it on Facebook the other day. You know, the two easiest things for me to say, the first is hi, and the second is I'm sorry. So, you know, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Vinny Eastwood, and I'm sorry.
I'm sure it would make the world a better place if everybody just said sorry. I mean, even if...
You've been to a supermarket. You've been to a supermarket. It's the most common thing you hear when you're, like, moving down the aisles and somebody's blocking your way. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that Carl Lentz says, because he's an American. He's a very direct man. I mean, I'd go as far to say as he's one of the bluntest men I think you could possibly ever talk to, because if you're trying to talk law to him, if you're talking about legalese and civil stuff, he's not going to talk to you about it, and he's not going to let you down lightly. He's going to directly tell you that you're talking a load of shit, you don't need it. You know, this is how he works with it.
So he appears to have mastered the art of being blunt without being obtuse.
Well, I don't know. He seems like a very genuine guy, but like I said, you don't know somebody just because you've seen a couple of video clips.
Yeah, totally.
You're sharing information. This guy's sharing some information, but he's very direct about how you go about it. And one of the things that amazes him, particularly over in England, what he witnessed was far too many people stand around being far too polite, while people like me, it's meaning him, if I want to get things done, I just go and tell him. He went to the Royal Courts of Justice at 7 o'clock at night and got a court opened because he knew what to say and who to say it to. There's always a judge on hand 24/7 at Queen's Bench because the Queen might want something. And we are the Queen's subjects, so therefore it's our court. That's why they don't want us in Queen's Bench. They want you to talk about absolute bollocks that means absolutely nothing, and they've just got the right people in the right positions where they're just going to keep telling you all this. I'm going to take this off you.
That would be quite nice, actually, because going to court in the middle of the day when people are supposed to be at work, so you can't work because you've got to go to court, that really sucks. It'd be a great way to get out of it.
Yeah, but like I said, this guy went and he said he went to the security guard, and he says the security guard told him it opens at 10 o'clock in the morning. He went, no, get him now. And he asked for the manager, he asked for a specific type manager. And he said, if the Queen was here now, would there be a court opening Queen's Bench? He went, of course. He went, then I'm the Queen's subject, so open the court. That's my court. And he goes into the court and he presses the record. Now, this terminology is apparently terminology that judges are trained for their ears to pick up to, because they know that you are now operating the capacity of common law as a man and not as an entity. How we invoke that and get to that stage, I'm not sure of yet. Like I said, it's all everybody's learning.
you've mentioned something before, is that so many people are coming at it from all these different angles with all these different answers. And what I find interesting is I've talked to a lot of these different people who are going about it all these different ways, and they've all had successes.
Because there's no right or wrong answer. If it's endurance and how good the people are at running away from you.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the stage that we're at, Vinny.
Well, I figure, like, let's say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it works kind of thing. Do whatever you want, you know, and you just got to be prepared to accept the fact that you live and work against an unjust system. You have to expect that unjust things will happen to subvert the course of justice at all times. And sure enough, they do. But you just have to keep persisting and persisting. And eventually you start to realise that you alone are the one with the power to undo this particular section of the unjust system. And I think if everybody was doing that at the same time, the system would be under such massive threat from all sides that it would have no defensive capabilities whatsoever. It would be simply disabled.
It would be done now. It would be done if that happened. It's like I said, people don't realise just how indoctrinated and how encroached the system is on them, because a lot of people just want to go to work, want to pay the bills, want to stay under the radar, want to go and watch football or rugby at the weekends, spend time with the friends, go on holidays. But the fact is, the game is rigged. If you're going out and swapping your labour for something, that's one thing. You know what you're expecting. You are actually wanting. You're saying, "I'll do that work for that amount of money," but then you get taxed on it, and you get taxed on it through a consensual tax. Now, there's no law stating that there is income tax. That isn't a law. That is simply fact. Now, if you wanted to volunteer tax and you knew it went towards the public, like say we have a thing called the council tax, which is a local rates tax on every property. Now they rake all this in, and they send it off down to the coffers in London, and then they have to apply for it back. Now I'm sure that people would in a community would not mind at all paying taxes if that money stayed with that community, was spent on amenities, was spent on roads, was spent on things to actually enhance the community. You wouldn't get one person saying, "I won't pay any taxes." Well, the fact is, you've been tricked out of it. The money isn't going to you, it's going to private corporations. And the thing is, at the end of the day, the credit and the loans that you go out and get, you end up paying for as well. It's like insurances, Vin. If you claim on your insurance goes up every year anyway. All they do is project it into the future and state, well, if we pay out on this, if we have to pay £20,000 out on this, his insurance, by the time we get to 5 years, he will have paid us that back and more. So you pay for the payment they've just give you because they have liability insurance. So the commerce is there. You just pay your own money to get a compensation. So you think you've just been compensated, but eventually you've paid for it.
So basically, they don't have any liability because they've got the ability to lie.
Vicarious liability.
You know, it actually does confound me sometimes, just the length and breadth of all the ways that people are being screwed over by the system. And at this point in time, there's a dualistic split happening. I think in university I heard about this digital divide, which means those in the third world don't have access to computers now, and so their rate of technological and cultural development is actually moving at a far slower rate than people who are connected with digital technology and computers and everything, which actually speed up the development of culture. Whether or not that development is for the better or worse, I think is for the sake of argument. However, there does seem to be two inexorable truths. Number one, people on the whole are getting really, really dumbed down. And the second truth is that people in minorities are becoming far more intelligent. So you're actually splitting people up into a class of the dumbed down versus the wisening up. Now, there's good and evil on both sides of those. So let's say you've got dumb cops and smart lawyers. You've got dumb truthers and smart truthers. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of people within this movement, not to name any names, who don't have any idea what they're talking about at any given time because they don't know how to research, critically think, or even admit when they're wrong. And it's the same thing. I was perplexed one day about why there's so many people like that in this movement that's supposed to be all about, truth and being honest and not being a scumbag. And you just find out that there's so many dishonest scumbags amongst us, And I think the answer is they came from, like everybody else, from the world of the asleep, the sheep, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wherever you go, you take the weather with you. If you haven't actually developed yourself to the point where you can let go of all of those habits and emotions and thought processes that held you back in the first place, you're going to bring the same behaviors and habits into this movement, which we hope to eradicate that kind of mentality, but you have to do it yourself. Nobody can do it to you. Nobody ever wakes you up. You wake yourself up. Nobody ever solves your emotional problems. You've got to solve it. And unfortunately, we've got to take a break just now. So, but just quickly finish your point, and then we'll go to break there, Paul.
No, it was just that when you're saying about waking up, it's, for me, it was, I've always, when I've looked back, I've always known there was something not right. Just by certain questions that I remember I've asked throughout my life. But, the things that got me into this from a very early age, I remember being interested in the Kennedy assassination and asking my dad in a documentary in about 79, I think it was, Dad, how did they make that last bullet change direction in mid-air? Because me and my dad shot air rifles. Now, I didn't have an air rifle that could shoot round corners. Apparently, they've got that kind of technology now. But I asked him how they do that, and he just laughed. He said, well, they can't. But he never told me anything, because it was up to me to, he wanted me to go and find out information. Well, that's hard to come by in 1979. So it's all about the control aspects of it. It's
thank God for the internet, even though it might be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is, pal.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.